Hello, everyone. So we are going to talk more about the Pythagorean theorem. Are you so proud of me for saying that? But from now on, I'll call it the P theorem. So if we know the lengths of two sides of a right triangle, we can find the third. And it's surprising how important this actually is. So the steps to doing this is that you first label the sides of the triangle depending on what it looks like. So I'm just going to draw a basic right triangle. It looks like an L, then you connect the ends, and I'm going to tell you that's a right angle. It may not be, but that's what I'm telling you. So you know the sides A and B are the ones that form that right angle. They're the shorter sides. The legs touch the right angle, okay? And across from that we know is the hypotenuse, the longest side, which is C. Now what you do is you substitute values of those lengths, we don't have any here, but we will in a second, into the P theorem. And then you solve for the missing side. So let's go ahead and try it because I think that's the best way to learn how to do it. So we're looking at an example and it says, find the length of DA. So before I do anything, I'm going to highlight DA because I want to remember what I'm looking for. Because math is that way. Sometimes you work so hard to solve a problem and then you forget to answer the question that was really asked. That's just human nature, so don't feel bad about it. So give yourself a reminder. DA is what we need to know at the end, the length of DA, and that's the hypotenuse. Well, we're told that A, if you look here, is 9 centimeters and B is 10. Does it matter if the A and the B are switched? No, because they're both legs. They both form this right angle. That was not a very good right angle. I'll try again. There you go. They form that right angle. So what we're going to do first is we are going to solve this a longhand, which is A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right. And I'm going to draw a line. So I'm going to substitute. What is my A equal to? 9. So I'm going to have 9 squared plus, and B, what is my B equal to? Which is 10. 10 squared equals, and we have no idea what dA is. So I'm just going to leave it C, okay? You can call it X, whatever you want to do, but I'm just going to call it C squared because we're looking for C. So let's come over here to our calculator. 9 squared is 81. And plus 10 squared is 100. And that's going to equal C squared. All right? So let's add that 81 and that 100. So how I'm going to do it is I'm going to do it this way. I'm going to go ahead and put a plus sign here and put the 10, oops, sorry about that, and put this 10 squared there, and it automatically adds them up for me. So what I did is I typed 9 squared plus 10 squared just like I had in this line here. It'll skip this line below it, but it does equal 181 equals C squared. Okay, so you can type in 9 squared and 10 squared individually and do it individually. 81 plus 100 is 181. Or you can type in A squared plus B squared, 9 squared plus 10 squared, and get 181. That choice is up to you. Now, it's important that you look here at your calculator. Do you see that square button? Okay, let me come over here. Do you see that plus button? Its opposite is subtraction, and subtraction's opposite is adding. Now look up here. Multiplication is the opposite of division, and division is the opposite of multiplication. The correct word is inverse operation, but I'm just telling you they're opposite, which is the same thing, in my opinion. Now see that square? Its opposite or its inverse operation is a square root. So if you have a square, you can get rid of the square by taking the square root, by doing the opposite. So that's what we're going to have to do here. We're going to take the square root of 181 and take the square root of C squared so that we get C. which is what we're looking for. So let's go ahead and put that in the calculator. The square root of 181, let's round that to the nearest tenth, one decimal place, would be 13.5, because that 5 there tells that 4 to move up 1. 13.5. So now we're going to come over here. If C equals 13.5, does that make sense? Because it has to be the longest. Well, A is 9 and B is 10, so C is a perfectly acceptable answer. Always have to check yourself. Now let's go ahead and do it here. We'll move a little faster. So we've got A squared plus B squared equals C squared. All right. We're going to label our sides. Well, this is A. That's what I'm going to call it. And this is B. And this is C. Whoa, things look a little different here. Remember that the legs A and B touch or form your right angle. So we don't have an A. We're looking for it. So let's continue to call that A squared. Now B is 16. So let's call that 16 squared. And we have a C down here, which is 25 squared. Yes, it's going to be a little different, but don't worry, it's not going to be that hard. I promise you can do this. I know you can. We have confidence in you. See that A squared there? Well, we don't know what to do with it, so we're going to bring it down. Then we're going to go ahead and square the 16, which gives us 256. Then we're going to go ahead and square the 25, which gives us 625. All right, so now let's look at this. We've got an equation. A squared plus 256 equals 625. Now, before I go any further, I'm going to go back to something that I ignored. Find the length of JR. This is JR, so we want the length of A. All right, so here we go. How am I going to get this A squared alone? Well, I'm going to have to get rid of this or eliminate this number here. All right, so let me go ahead and clear my calculator. So if that's a positive, I know it's going to be a negative 256 on each side. This line down the middle, remember, keeps us balanced. If you do it to one side, you must do it to the other. So that brings your A squared down. That's gone. Equals, and then we can do 625 minus 256, which gives you 369. Then remember how we talked, the inverse of squaring is taking a square root. All right, so we're going to take the square root of A squared and the square root of 369, and we get A equals, and let's come here and do the square root of 369. It gives you 19.2. So let's put that over here. 19.2 equals A. Does that make sense? Well, the two legs are 19.2 and 16, and the hypotenuse is 25, which is longer than both those numbers. So it absolutely makes sense. Now, remember how I told you sometimes you could do things in the calculator? Well, this is another example, so this is just a little bit extra. You know this was C squared, correct? And you know you subtracted this number squared, right? Let's just call it B for now. That's what you, that's what you ended up doing. So let's see if we could do that in our calculator. C was 25, so let's do 25 squared. And we're going to subtract the leg squared, which the only leg we had was 16. 369 is what we got, but we have to remember to take the square root of 369. There you go, and we will get the same answer. There are going to be other ways that we show you to do this, but I'm not going to do them in the video. Please ask us, and then we'll make sure to clarify for you. Okay? Great job as always. We believe in you.